I started off with a simple drawing, which then I made into a 3D rendering. I took that rendering and I put it in my 3D printer. And from that, I was able to render this resin wax model. So my first attempt was sand casting. And it was a nice experience, but it did not render the type of detail that I needed from my client. As you'll see, it was decent, but it was at that moment I decided that I had to do some lost wax casting. But I didn't have the ventilation system I needed. I have a situation. I don't have money to buy a proper ventilation system. Those machines run in the thousands. I do, however, need a ventilation system because I'm dealing with some fumes that I cannot allow to circulate through my house. So this is a high-powered fan, which I have procured for under $60. And then I built a little simple system to tunnel that air to where all the fumes will be coming from. This is where I have my kiln, which once I start doing lost wax casting, those lost wax fumes got to go somewhere. So what's going to happen is I'm going to make a little cone that will go right over it like so, suck out all that air. And this is also my welding area over here. I'll be able to reach it over there. Do the same thing for welding when I start doing that again, and plasma cutting and other things like that. Then I was gonna bust out this window here and put in a new glass brick window and put some kind of a ventilation thing as part of a glass brick. That's still a project, but I got to get this going now. So I'm probably going to take some of this tubing, put it on the other side. That's the little side I got cut off there. And then I may reduce that down to a little plastic kind of sleeve or some kind of flexible sleeve, and just tuck it through the window and just have the window open for a period of time, slightly ajar for when I'm doing the work, and then I'll just close it when I'm done. So that's where things stand right now. Okay, here it is working. But clearly it's clearly sucking. Okay, I'm back. It's a lot less loud now. So I put a little temporary leather apron underneath the actual fan stand so it wouldn't vibrate so much, and remove some of the spare parts I had from that shelf. So we get the same sucking power, I hope. I'm gonna try it now. Yep. Same sucking power. So much quieter. I was gonna try to film the process of me doing this first investment casting, but it was just too intense. And plus I had my this mask on. Basically what I did though is I took some investment powder that is in here, put the right amount, ratio of that to water in there, mixed it up with a hand mixer to the right consistency, and then I put it on here to suck out the air from the stirring. Then I poured it into this flask as you can see, and put it back on here to suck out the additional air that might have got trapped. And now this is gonna sit for a couple hours and harden up. And at that point, I'll take off this rubber bottom right there and stick it in this oven. And then it'll be in there for almost half a day, cooking away the wax, hardening and solidifying the mold. And when it reaches the right temperature, just before it gets there, I will heat up my metal in here. And then I will, once it's melted, pull this flask out of there, stick it in this vacuum, and then take the metal, pour it into there, and hopefully it'll suck into all the right places and we'll have a decent looking finished part. But that's sometime tomorrow. So wear your masks. This stuff is no joke. There's things in that investment that you don't want to suck in. Here's my mold, all phase 1 hardened and ready to go into the oven. Here it is, starting to warm up. And there's my ventilation. Going out the window. Temporary setup, but it works. You can see it's pretty hot. I'm not in a dress to open it up to show you with the proper PPE, or I'd show you just how hot it is, but I am curious to see if that wax is melting. We're still not at the max temperature yet, but the system's holding up just fine. Nothing around it is heated up. Everything is nice and cool, literally cool to the touch around the equipment. So that's a good sign. Everything is cool, cool, cool. Putting on my PPE and everything seems like it's in readiness. I'm about ready to go into that kiln and pull out my piece, stick it onto the vacuum, and get ready to pour in my silver. Yep, everything's good so far. Here I'm about to forget that I had one thing plugged in at a time to make sure I didn't blow any fuses until I do some testing on that. So I'm rushing to plug things in, and then I realized, wow, the thing doesn't fit. My daggone silicone plugs don't fit. So I'm scrambling to figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm losing heat on my molded piece, and I'm scrambling to figure out how to fix it. So I grab one of the other silicone pieces eventually and decide I'm gonna have to cut this piece and make it fit the flask. But I don't know the size of the flask, and I don't have anything to cut a perfect circle. In the meantime, let me put this back in the kiln and make sure I try to keep the heat up while I figure out how I'm going to do this. And then I realized that the little puck at the bottom of the flask is the same size as the flask. I don't realize that yet, though. I'm stressing out. But I grab a razor and start cutting out that shape as fast as I possibly can to make sure that I can make this pour successfully, because it's taken me about 20 hours to create this piece. So I slap it on, go to the kiln, pull out the piece again, bam, it fits relatively snugly. Turn the machine back on and get ready to do my pour. And now it's just a matter of waiting, because I have no idea if I did that successfully or not. This is the fun stage when I get to dip the hot mold into water and it makes a cool sound. Having removed most of the plaster automatically through that action, I pull out the silver piece, and there's the finished product, waiting to be cleaned up. I drew this. Then I turned it into a 3D rendering, printed out a 3D print from it, made a mold out of wax, and then poured. And I got this beautiful handcrafted silver coin. Absolutely incredible. The detail is so incredible. That's the piece before any work on it is done. That's the piece coming up a little bit polished, and second round of polish with more cleanup and polish to come.